Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for another Salmon Science Friday. So what we're going to be doing again is making our observations. So if you have your data sheet with you, this is a good time to pull that out. If you don't have that, you can use anything like a dry erase board, or you can use your notebook, sort of whatever you need if you want to just talk to your friends and family at home, or maybe send a message to your teacher and tell them what you've been observing. That's also going to be a great way to help you remember and pay close attention to what's going on inside the tank. So let's jump right in and take a look inside our tank and make our observations this week. So for your observations this week, I wanted to give you a little bit of a challenge. I want to see if you're able to make your drawings sort of like you did last week. So here on my dry erase board, or in the parts of your data sheet where you can draw stuff in. My challenge to you this week is going to be to try to label things. So I want you to see how much you can identify inside the tank. That could be living things or non-living things. If you want to talk about parts of the aquarium or parts of the environment, that's totally cool. So what I did was I actually just looked at the parts that I knew about our underwater adventure land for salmon that I knew the names of. So I wrote the name of the tank. I wrote that the little tubes in the back of the tank were for the filter and the chiller parts. Maybe if you want to talk about the salmon, you can label what stage of the life cycle that they're living in. If you want to try and be very scientific, you can try and come up with the names of the parts of the salmon. So that's my challenge to you this week, is to, when you're doing your sketches, think about what everything is inside of the tank. And if you're not really feeling like sketching something out, another great option would be maybe write a story about it. If you want to describe it, you can write a song, you can write a poem. Just have fun with it. It's going to help you enjoy making your observations as much as possible. Welcome back from your observations. So the first thing I wanted to make sure to do today was to thank everybody who reached out after that first week of Salmon Science Friday and contributed their thoughts and their observations for the tank through our Flipgrid and through our online form that's underneath everything when you go to find Salmon Science Friday. We had some great responses. I'm getting a good collection of student questions. So all the questions that you ask me through Flipgrid or through the online responses, or if you want to send them to your teacher and they send them to us, that's great. I'm going to be using that every week to help me bring great information to you. So I really encourage you all to have fun with the Flipgrid or the online forums. Tell me what you're thinking. It doesn't need to be a question either. I'm just curious to know what your experience has been like so far. So thank you for that. So to follow up on that, I actually got a really great question from a student at Newbery Elementary. And their question to me was, do fish eggs come in different colors? And I think that that's a fantastic question. It's actually one of the first questions that challenged me in my job. When I came into this position, I didn't immediately know the answer to that question. So it gave me an opportunity to do some research. And I actually found out some really, really incredible information about salmon eggs. So when we're looking in the tank, we were noticing that they were sort of orangey and reddish, and that's going to be pretty typical for salmon eggs. Between species of salmon and in different environmental conditions, the colors will change a little bit. They will mostly come in at that yellowish orange or bright reddish color. And my fun fact for Salmon Science Friday this week is that color that the salmon have in their eggs and their flesh, and when they're spawning, when the males get those big bright red colors in their bodies, all of that red that we're seeing is something called pigments. And what's happening is out in the ocean, salmon are eating so much food that's made up of plankton and krill. I want you to think of maybe shrimp, like when flamingos eat a lot of shrimp, their feathers will turn from white to pinkish reddish. So salmon are eating so much plankton and krill out in the ocean that have red pigment that it actually collects in their body. And so the females will put those really important pigments into their eggs. The males will put those really important pigments into their skin to attract mates. So it's all about survival and reproduction and making sure that we've got really healthy salmon in the future. Well, not we, but they. You know what I mean. So that's a great question. We're even going to see a little bit of variation. So I actually pulled these eggs. Oh, it's a little blurry. I'll take a picture and show you. So even in the eggs, you're going to see different colors inside the tank. These colors are a little bit more muted. They're orange and a little more cloudy. These are actually eggs that either didn't make it or that weren't fertilized. So we'll even see a little bit of a color change that tells us sort of what point that they're at. So for me, when I'm looking at the eggs that are left over and I see the colors are getting really, really vibrant, different from the last week that I made my observation, I know that they're probably getting really close to hatching. So thank you for the questions. Keep them coming in. We love hearing your questions.